now I request the guests on the dais to please perform their Jyoti Prajwalan. And I request the audience to kindly switch off your mobile phones or
दीपज्योति परब्रह्मा दीपज्योति जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापम् सन्ध्यादीपं नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
For the benefit of those of you who are actually, basically we are known, Pragna Bharati is known as a think tank.
बहुबलधारिणीं नमामि तारिणीं त्रिपुरवारिणीं मातरं वन्दे मातरं. तुम्ही विद्या तुम्ही बहुते तुम्ही मा शक्ती हृदय मंदिरे वन्दे मातरं. संहिदुर्गा दश प्रहरणधारिणी कमलां कमलदलविहारिणीं वाणी विद्यादायिनीं नमामि त्वां नमामि कमलां अमलां अतुलां सुजलां सुफलां सुष्मितां भूषितां धरणीं भरणे मातरं वन्दे मातरं. धन्यवाद. भारत माता की जय.
Pragna Bharati is a nationalistic thinkers forum. Nowadays, we all notice that section of people, and especially youth, are drifting away from the thought. Few people are no more. But here we have Sharma ji and also Hanuman Chaudhary Garu. They are also founding members. They are with us. The organization is being run under their guidance very well. And inculcating the thought of the nation. And we conduct a lot of programs like seminars, book launches outside India as well, every heritage, history, and so many current topics as well. I request all of you to subscribe that magazine as well. It's not expensive. 500 rupees per annum, 12 copies. An award called Pragna Bharati every year. This is to honor an eminent personality from any field who actually does an excellent work highlighting the nation. The most recent recipient was based out of USA. He is a businessman, he is an IT specialist, and he left all that, and now he is totally dedicated here for 3 days, and we had an excellent program. Most of you know about that. So this is how we conduct various programs on behalf of Pragna Bharati. Now, I request our chairman, Dr. Triparaneni Hanuman Chaudhary Garu, to start this evening's program with the opening remarks. As you all know, he was the chairman of BSNL, chairman of Pragna Bharati. We are all working on this guidance. So, Chaudhary ji, please start this evening's program with your opening remarks, sir.
Namaskar. I don't say good morning and good afternoon, but always namaskar, because it is good for all the time and it is expressive of the culture and heritage of India. Jai Shri Ram. 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 We are including Dharma that upholds the universe. So Rama is Vigrahavan Dharma. Therefore, I invoke him. Friends, 192 of them in the United Nations Organization. Bharat and China are civilizational states. It's attempt to relive that one. It is forgotten sometimes, even if but again and again we have to recall the past, and on the basis of the great achievements, extremely eminent persons, both of them archaeologists. Archaeology is got Hastinapur, where the Pandavas and the Kauravas ruled. Some location he got excavated, and he wrote a small story, The Feeding Bottle of Duryodhana. You remember that one? So, the nation that has Israel, every place that was mentioned in the Bible, Old Testament, was rediscovered and beautified so that the memories of the nation are always fresh in the citizens to inspire them to the glory that Israel was once. In India, we have got thousands of temples, and much of our history has been written in the temples and other great structures. So here we have got two great archaeologists, Sri Muhammad, a Padma Shri awardee, and Professor Shiddeji. They are in the same Deccan College, great memories of Tilak, of Gokhale, of Wrangler, mathematician of Deccan College. Deccan College is a very famous one. It is the cradle of patriots. So we are very, very happy that Dr. Sri Muhammad, a very bold, patriotic, nationalist person who, in spite of great opposition from the Ramajanma Bhumi, I am very, very happy that we have these two eminent persons to talk to us. Their talk will be followed by questions if you have any. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Chaudhary Garu. Now, yeah, like Chaudhary Garu said already, we have two archaeologists here and two Padma Shri awardees on the screen, on the dais. So there are only three, of course. A little bit about Professor Dr. Vasant Shindeji. He is the former professor and vice chancellor at Deccan College, PG and Research Institute, University, Pune. Presently adjunct professor at the National Institute of Advanced, and he's also a world-renowned archaeologist and one of the foremost scholars in South Asia, and the founder of the society called Society of South Asian Archaeology. And he is actively involved in public archaeology and formed many groups in many states within India to protect cultural heritage and create awareness among general public. So he is here with us. Now I request Professor Dr. Vasan Shitej to start your presentation and the talk, sir.
चौधरी गारू जी, मेरे मित्र के मोहम्मद, the other audience here. I am extremely happy to be here because this is the second time I am participating in here. I mentioned that we had a great discourse today. The person who was happy right now because of his efforts, I think Namaste credit is so old in India and such a scientific. Actually, it goes back to the Harappan times. We have actually excavated the fetal position, and I think that is the beginning of the tradition in India, which goes back to almost 5,000 years. And after the pandemic, I think the whole world has realized the importance of this particular tradition, which is considered to be scientific. Also, it is mentioned that if you want to understand your culture, or if you want to appreciate your culture, you need to understand that. And therefore, I am going to speak about a very important initiative that the government of India has taken. And this is the book that we have edited on behalf of ICHR. And our Prime Minister also mentions frequently that India is the mother of democracy. So the roots of democracy are going back to almost 5,000 years. And the Harappans were the pioneer, in fact, in this respect. They were the one, in fact, who initiated this particular tradition almost 4,500 or 5,000 years ago. And we consider them as the pioneer architect of democracy anywhere, in fact, in the world. Now, this was a major event of G20, and the first event of G20 was to publish this particular book. And I'm happy that this ICHR has already published this book. I think Pragna Bharati should also obtain copies of that. And I think this should reach to as many people as possible so that they understand that what is our great tradition. So this was a very, very important initiative taken by the government of India. Now, as we have been discussing that the Indian knowledge system or the Indic knowledge system. Now that goes back to the almost beginning of the second life in the Indian subcontinent, and we have the evidence of that going back to 7,000 BCE. I'm not going to discuss that in detail, but that's the beginning. We have found actual archaeological evidence. We have explored so many sites in the northwest part of India, in the western part of India, and also in the northern part, and we have very strong evidence for that. And what is interesting that the Indian or the Indic knowledge system that was established, that has grown gradually, and it was perfected by the Harappans. So I also consider that the Harappans are the pioneers or the architect of the development of the Indic knowledge system in the country. And what is interesting that the knowledge system that they established was so relevant. Even today, in fact, a lot of communities find that knowledge system quite useful. And we have a very long tradition. We have been continuously using this particular tradition. for 5,000 years. And I'm sure that even future also this will be done. Now the recent research, I will speak maybe briefly towards the end, that indicate that this particular knowledge system was initiated by the indigenous people. The DNA research that we have done clearly established this particular fact. We have archaeological and textual evidence about the knowledge system, and in both, in fact, textual evidence as well as archaeological evidence, we can certainly find out the roots of democracy also, about which I am going to speak. The significance of the discovery of the Harappan civilization. Now, before the discovery, in 1920, in fact, the discovery was made, or the excavation started, in fact, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro simultaneously. And on 20th September 1924, the announcement of the discovery of the Harappan civilization was made. So we have been working on this for more than 100 years. We have explored hundreds of sites, and we have got a very strong, evidence. Now, what is the significance of the discovery? Now, before the discovery, most of the historians they thought that there is a big gap in the history of country. Orenstein, particularly, not Orenstein, this Smith. He had mentioned that India jumped from Stone Age to the Stupa period or the Buddhist period, and there's a big gap in fact in the history of South Asia. And he was of the opinion that the settlement life in this part was started much later, in fact maybe around 6th century BCE. So that was one very important significance of the discovery. Because of the discovery, this particular so-called gap was filled in, and now India boasts of a continuous history for last almost 2 million years. We have the earliest stone tools discovered in India, which are dated to 2 million, that's 20 lakhs. So from 20 lakhs to the present, we have the continuity today, and most of the traditions that we follow today, the tradition or the knowledge system that we follow today, that was established almost 4,500 or 5,000 years ago, and we have been continuously using that. Now this is the site, what you are seeing right on the screen, the nature of the actual site from the beginning of the settled life. So from the beginning of settled life, generally we find the sites in the form of mounds, and they are either low mounds or high mounds, depending upon the nature of the settlement and the duration of the occupation there. But right from the beginning, in these particular settlements, we do find the evidence related to their architectural heritage, about their other knowledge system or the wisdom that they developed. We have discovered a lot of sites in the northeast part of the Indian subcontinent. More than 2,000 Harappan sites have been discovered, and some of the sites are very, very prominent because they have produced very important evidence about the gradual growth of the Harappan culture. The Harappan urbanization, that urbanization has not really suddenly appeared. There is a long precedence, and we have excavated evidence in this particular respect. So, but before that, I would like to mention that what was the condition during the first stage of the Harappan culture. We have 3 different periods of the Harappan culture. One is the early Harappan, which is now dated from 6,000 BCE to 2,600 BCE. That is the date for the early Harappan culture. Then the most prosperous phase, that is from 2,600 to 1900 BCE. That is the urban phase of the Harappan culture. So that is a phase which we call as the Harappan civilization phase or the mature Harappan phase. And then of course the decline starts around 1900 BCE, and this culture has survived in a decadent form up to 1300 BCE in the area where the culture flourished. But what we see on the basis of the evidence is that during the early Harappan phase, there were a number of regional cultures. Now we can see in fact the regional cultures that we have identified. They have been shown on this map. There were at least 6 to 7 different regional cultures. Except pottery, of course. Now most of the knowledge that was developed, that is more or less common. The variation is properly reflected in the ceramic that they use. and mostly the painted ceramic. Now you can see here, in fact, the painted ceramic that was found associated with different regional cultures. On the basis of that, we have been able to identify these regional cultures. So, in terms of maybe surface treatment, in terms of painted decorations, or even the different forms, on the basis of that, that varies from culture to culture. So, on the basis of that, we have identified. And what is interesting that that perhaps this is the first time in the history of the world that we see the emergence of what I call as the nationhood. We always think that the nation was established much later, but the concept of nationhood was established by the Harappans because around 2600 BCE, the Harappans have integrated all the early Harappan cultures into one big uniform culture, and that culture had spread over an area of roughly 2.5 million square kilometers, almost double the size of Pakistan. So that was the area, in fact, that the Harappans are occupied. So, contemporary Harappans were the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians, and there they had proper empire. I am going to show, in fact, what are the evidence in that particular respect. But this is a example in the history of the world where a nationhood is established by peaceful means. We don't find any evidence of aggression by the Harappans. We don't find any evidence of slavery, in fact, that was present in the Harappan time. And by establishing good relations with the contemporary population, they have managed to create this nationhood. So this is a very, very important thing that we find. And then, of course, comes the evidence of the full-fledged, such town planning in the Harappan region, and that town planning or the urban phase of the Harappan culture could be identified properly at these 5 Harappan cities. These are the 5 mega cities. When we consider the Harappan settlements, we do find different categories of the settlements, and one category, of course, was the mega cities. So these most of the mega cities, except Garweriwala, which is in the Cholistan desert of Pakistan, most of the sites have been excavated, and we have strong evidence to indicate the gradual growth from the beginning of very modest beginning till the development of the nationhood or the development of urbanization. So the excavation that I conducted at the site of Ratigiri, that has provided a very strong evidence about the modest beginning of the Harappan culture and how the Harappans have transited from that to the beginning of the settled life or the urban life. So here you can see the location of the Harappans here, the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians. So these 3 were contemporary to each other. Generally, when it comes to these 3 civilizations, when you compare Harappans with the Mesopotamians and Egyptians, the general impression that we get is that the Harappans were not capable of creating the monumental architecture that the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians have done. That is not true. In fact, if the Harappans wanted, they could have easily created those type of monumental architecture, because Harappans were the best civil engineers in the contemporary world. But there are 2 reasons why the Harappans have not really created those type of monumental architecture. One is that the Harappans had completely different administrative political system. They did not have monarchical system, and there is a very strong evidence about the monarchical system that was present in Mesopotamia and also in Egypt. And we have a lot of evidence in that respect. We have actually the sculptures of those kings, different the kings that ruled different areas. We also have a lot of evidence in their textual format. So there is a lot of evidence in that respect, and you can see, in fact, one of the some of the evidence that they have. So these are the monuments, the huge pyramids-like structure, and these are the ziggurats, in fact, which are called the temples. So these were created by the Mesopotamians and also the Egyptians. In fact, Egyptians have created those pyramids. So most of the architecture the monument architecture particularly, they were created because of the, the different political system they had. And they were created for the kings or the rulers, on behalf of the rulers, in fact, these things were created. And they were made for only the royal families. They were not for the common families or the common people, in fact. So everything, but even, the evidence that we have from Mesopotamia, that shows that all the developments have happened around the temples or the palaces, and there is hardly any evidence for the welfareness of the common people in that region. So that is the difference. So these are some of these are the pyramids that were created. They are all, in fact, they contain the mortal remains of the kings, and they were created on behalf of the rulers. And to showcase, in fact, the status of the king, these type of monumental architecture were created. So we have a lot of these, in fact, which are actually visible. So given a choice, we will always, would like to visit maybe Mesopotamia or Egypt, because there, you can see even today all these important monuments. We don't have that, these type of monuments in the Harappan levels. And therefore the impression that we have that perhaps Harappans were not capable, but that's not true. That's so, because the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians have different administrative systems. These are some of the very, very rich, stinkingly rich royal tombs. And they buried huge amount of wealth in these royal tombs. Particularly the Tutankhamun's tomb that was excavated, that has produced so much wealth. Even if you compare, the wealth that we have excavated from, different Harappan sites, even 1/10 of that cannot be, is not found, in fact, in the Harappan level. So that much wealth, in fact, was collected and buried by these, the Mesopotamians and Egyptians. The Harappans never believed in that, because they knew that once it is, buried, that is gone forever, and that cannot be used for the welfare of the common people. So, here is the difference, in fact. The Mesopotamians and Egyptians care only for the royal families, whereas the Harappans, whatever they created for the common people, and it was created by the people, for the people. So all this, whatever evidence we see, you can see some of the very rich wealth that was buried in the burials. In Egypt also there is a valley of kings, in which there are very, very stinkingly rich burials, and these are some of the ornaments that you find buried along with the dead body, huge amount of wealth. So you can also see that they created these mummies on the outer surface of the mummy. You can also see the paintings of the king. This how this the Mesopotamians and Egyptians have done this. How they have collected this huge amount of wealth. Egyptians and the Mesopotamians were very aggressive. They have maintained regular army, and there is evidence of that. In fact, you can see the Egyptian army and also the Mesopotamian army. So through this army, they used to maybe raid the the neighboring countries, neighboring areas. They used to defeat them, and they used to collect huge wealth from them, and that wealth was used, in fact, for creating those monumental architecture. Also, the people who were defeated, they were used as slaves, and these slaves were used, in fact, for creating those monumental architecture like pyramids. So, here's the evidence of that. This is from Mesopotamia, and also we have some paintings of the slaves on the walls of the royal tombs. So this is the kind of evidence we find in the Mesopotamian and the Egyptian area. We don't have any evidence of that. We don't have royal palaces in the Harappan levels. If at all they were there, in fact, they could have been in one of the 5 cities. And we have almost excavated all the 5 cities in a greater extent. So we have not found, we have not found any royal tombs in the Harappan levels. So that means that maybe the monarchical system was not there in the Harappan times. Secondly, the Harappans have certainly generated a lot of wealth, and that wealth was used by the Harappans for creating those beautiful cities, very well planned, very hygienic cities for the common people. And how the Harappans have done that? Firstly, we have the evidence indicating that the Harappans were peace-loving people. They are the one, in fact, the first people in the world to introduced some kind of health sciences, and yoga and meditation. They are the contributions of the Harappans. So we have actually some of the terracotta figurines in yogic posture found in different Harappan sites. So this is the beginning of the yoga tradition, and that has continued till today, and the whole world has realized the importance of yoga science, and also the meditation part that was also introduced by the Harappans. On some of the Harappan seas we find some maybe human figure sitting in yogic posture surrounded by jungle scene. So that is a evidence we have in the Harappan levels. There were a lot of people living around the Harappan region. That the contemporary maybe farmers who were living around the Harappan region. So the Harappans, what they did, in fact, they established good relations with the people living in different parts, on their western periphery as well as eastern periphery, because most of the raw materials required for manufacturing various crafts, they were located outside the Harappan region, and they were controlled by the contemporary population outside the Harappan region. So Harappans established a very good contact with them, and they managed to get the raw material from them. They had, technology. The Harappans had technology, so they started, processing the raw material which was imported from the surrounding region, from the hinterland region, and they started manufacturing, finished goods, and they supplied finished goods to the people from whom they acquired the raw material. That is how the Harappans, began to develop or increase their revenue. And then, later they realized that they can also generate a lot of revenue by establishing maritime contacts with Persian Gulf region, with Oman, Bahrain, Mesopotamia, and also Egypt. And we have a lot of evidence. So you can see here in this map, we have established or reconstructed the land routes they will use, in fact, from the Harappan region to the Persian Gulf region and beyond, and also the maritime routes. I think they were the first people, in fact, in the world to develop maritime contacts for the trade purpose. So we have reconstructed the maritime routes also. So we have very strong evidence. And in the Mesopotamian texts, in fact, there's mention about the three regions. One is Tilmun, then there's a region called Magan, which is the present day Oman and Bahrain. Tilmun is a part of the coastal part here. Then also the region called Melua, and Melua has been identified with the Harappan region. So the text talks about the goods that were coming from Melua region, and the evidence, both the textual evidence as well as the archaeological evidence that we have, clearly indicate that a lot of goods were sent by the Harappans to Mesopotamian and these western countries, and very few goods were coming from that side. So that means that the trade was beneficial to the Harappans, and through trade they generated so much wealth. I always believe that the Harappans have plundered these western countries, generated a lot of wealth, and that wealth was used by the Harappans not for burying the dead bodies or for creating those monumental architecture. They also, they were the pioneers in developing ship and boats. We always think that the ship and boat concept has come from Roman Empire. Romans have taught us, but that is not true. I think 2000 years before Romans, in fact, the Harappans had already developed a particular craft and this technique, and we have the actual evidence. We can see two types of boats that the Harappans have developed. One is the flying boat made of wood with a flat bottom, and the other one is a boat made of thick glass. It is called reed boat. And in both the boats you can see house inside and also birds. So that means they were used for a long distance travel. So this type of facilities were created by Harappans for catering the needs of the international trade. The tradition has continued. When I visited Mohendaro, I could see that even today people are using the replicas of the Harappan boats. So that tradition has continued, and you can see this is one of the boats being used even today in the Indus River near Mohendaro. Then they also created the world's first dockyard. So this, you can see in this picture, the big structure with water, that is the structure which is identified as a dockyard. And you can see the close-up of that. This is at local. And it is here that the government of India is establishing perhaps the world's largest maritime complex here. And Maritime Museum is one of the important components of this particular complex. These are some of the Harappan materials found in Persian Gulf, in Mesopotamia, and also beyond. So all these goods, in fact, have gone from the Harappan regions to the Mesopotamia. So Harappans have done a lot of trade, and this wealth that was coming, that was used by Harappans, in fact, for this particular purpose, for creating these type of very well documented, very well planned cities and towns. These are, this is, of course, the previous one is the excavated images from the site of Mohenjo-daro, and also we have excavated the site of Dholavira in Kutch part of Gujarat, and that site also has very good evidence about the town planning that was adopted. And these towns were developed by the Harappans for the common people. So that way was used by the Harappans for this particular purpose. These are, this is a close-up of, the part of the fortification. The fortification gates on four sides, they were, well protected also. Inside, they created a beautiful, well-planned, the main street, and you can also see the structures on both sides, very well-planned cities that they developed. This is actually that we have excavated. You can see the maybe north, south, and east, west running street, and how well-planned the cities were. Now these are the creations of the Harappans for the common people. So this is the difference, in fact, between the Harappans and the Mesopotamians. And when you compare with the modern settlements, as I say that a lot of traditions have continued from Harappans in modern times. And even you can see that is reflected in the settlement pattern also. This is a modern settlement, and this exactly looks like the Harappan settlement. When we excavate the site of Rakigiri, when I move in the Harappan, in the Rakigiri village, I always get the impression that I'm moving in the Harappan village because there's so much similarity. Right? Even the roads, the dimension of the roads are same, and even the material culture that is used today is exactly the same. Then Harappans have created some monumental architecture, of course. One, of course, which I showed you, of course, is the fortification. I always consider this as a important monument for the protection of the people. So it is not connected with any royal family, and this is one which they have created. And since they had no slavery, they have not subjugated the surrounding people. Probably they have involved, in fact, in creating these type of monumental architecture, which are useful for people. And even within the city also we can see a lot of these. We have this in the public park. We also find this is a close-up of that. We also find that the Harappans have created the facilities for the common people. This is our Harappan bathroom. That became integral part of their architectural heritage. And even they have started manufacturing those or the use these terracotta tiles which are decorative. So we have borrowed, in fact, most of the concepts. Maybe the material has changed, but the beginning of that goes back to the Harappan times. We always think that the concept of commode has come from the West, but this is the earliest evidence of commode, which was made by the Harappans. So Harappans are architect in this respect, and you can see that the tradition has not died. In fact, in our toilet, we keep one maybe bucket and lota in that or the mug. So here there is a big jar here, and in that big jar there is a small lota. So that tradition has also continued. So these are the facilities that the Harappans have created for the common people. They also very, very concerned about the health of the people. So what they did, in fact, they created the network of the drainage. Each household had bathroom and toilet, and they were attached to the closed and the open drainage, and that was attached to the main drainage. You can see, these are the evidence of the closed drainage. This is the evidence of open drainage. So the closed drainage was attached to toilet, and the open one was for the bathroom. So this is the kind of evidence you can see. Every household almost had the evidence of this well planned scientific system, and they have followed simple method, a simple gradient pattern. The water was flowing from the higher level to the lower level, but it was very, very effective. And as I mentioned that they had the main drainage, and most of the the drainage network was attached to the main drainage, and main drainage was taken outside the city wall and maybe emptied somewhere. That means they have not really allowed the dirty water to be sprayed within the settlement, and you can see the opening of the the main drainage outside the city wall. So this is the kind of system that the Harappans have made, and because of that, the Harappan people were so healthy. We also have been studying the pathology during the Harappan times, because we have excavated some skeletal remains, and some of the Korean scientists who are working with us, they were very disappointed at the end of the research, because we did not find any major disease prevalent during the Harappan time, and that was because the cities were so clean and hygienic. Because of that, that was that has made the difference. They also brought clean water close to the settlement. They started digging wells. We have the evidence for that. All this was created for the common people, and also they developed some cities in the desert part, and Dholavira is a classic example. So they had to develop this particular city because they are a very important trade route from from Sindh to Saurashtra, and Dholavira, and there are half a dozen sites on this particular trade route, and all the sites are fortified. But before establishing the site of Dholavira, they knew that there is a dearth of water. So they had maybe they surveyed this area properly before they establishing the city. They studied the geography and geology, and then they decided to locate this particular city between two rivers. And you know that in the desert part there is a occasional rainfall, but whenever there is a rainfall, these rivers create flash flood, and the flood water was arrested by the Harappans. They put series of dams on both the rivers, and this how they must have created this type of barrier for arresting water, and the water was diverted inside the settlement. But what is interesting that they were so aware of the time. They also knew that if there is a water in huge volume, perhaps it will damage the city. So first they created the outlet for the stormwater drainage. So that will take care of that. So this is the evidence of that. Most scientific, even today, this is an important integral part of the development of the scientific system in the world. And then, of course, this water was then diverted to various underground water reservoirs that they excavated. So these are one of some of the water reservoirs they had excavated. These are the different water reservoirs. So this is the system this Harappans have created. You can see there are reservoirs of different sizes and shapes, and also they dug some big wells. One of the wells that you can see here. In case the water from this tank is exhausted, there will be always water in fact in the big wells. And you can see a flat stone here. There are grooves on that. So whenever there's a need, they can draw water from that well, and that the water can be put in the this underground water channels, and that will bring to different tanks. So that is a system that they have created. They made sure that there's always in the desert part, by using this simple but very effective technology, they have made sure that there's always running water available within the site, within the city. And because of that, in desert part, the city has not only sustained, but it was constantly developing. And this is the system that they have created. I always suggest that I have also suggested to Niti Aayog that this system should be used in the desert part. Today, in fact, between Dholavira and Rapa is the nearest town, which is 110 kilometers. There are hardly 4 or 5 villages, and people are not establishing settlements there because of the dearth of water. But if this system, which does not really require a lot of funding, this can be developed by the local communities, and this really does not require any foreign collaboration. So this can be put to use, and I'm sure that this entire Kutch part will be converted to desert part. So these are the underground water channels through which the water was flowing from one tank to another tank. You can see how much water in fact was coming, and that was required by the Harappans, almost 7 feet high and 3 to 3.5 feet wide. And interesting, you can see that the stones are eroded. They are eroded because of the flow of water. And second, they also have created this air ducts, very scientific evidence, scientific method. And air ducts, even today's, in drainage system, the air ducts are provided for preventing them from blockage or for maintenance purpose. So this is the most scientific, evidence that was for the scientific beads of semi-precious stone. They had a great demand. In fact, these crafts had a greater demand in West Asia, and they were importing this. That is from the Harappan. So they also had a lot of, they had developed these manufacturing units, centers in different parts. This is the evidence in that respect. Also, they created, this type of, beautiful copper objects. They use both, in fact, a simple technique which is being used even today called the cold hammering technique, and also some objects are made in molds. So that is a advanced technique that used. We have the evidence of manufacturing activities at a number of Harappan sites. So this is how they created the facility. They started producing mass amount of goods, and those goods were exported to the Western countries, and that is how they generated wealth. And that wealth was used by the people. So finally, who are the people, in fact, who have created this knowledge system, and who are the people, who for the first time in the world has developed this political system. As I mentioned that they had no slavery system, and they have still managed to create some monumental architecture, utility monumental architecture for the people. So it is all done, in fact, by the people, for the people. So that is the kind of evidence. So probably they had some kind of, they introduced some kind of panchayat system today. And we have the evidence, in fact, maybe some people had some maybe slightly higher status in the society. Maybe they were the rulers, in fact. Like today, we have a small panchayat of 5 members of the Gram Panchayat who try to rule these maintain the village. So that type of system was created by the Harappans. And because of that, this political system came into existence. So finally, when it comes to people, there are different opinions. In fact, some say that Harappans came from outside. Particularly Britishers, when they discovered this political civilization in 1920s, they were so surprised because this was a very advanced civilization that they had discovered, and such advanced civilization was not found in Europe also. So they said that now don't be so happy because we know that there is evidence. But the people who made this civilization, built this civilization, they came from the West. That's how they created that Aryan issue. They rather foster that issue in fact in great deal. And we are following that. Nobody tried to generate any scientific evidence in that respect. So for the first time, we have generated now scientific evidence. We have extracted the only way to know, in fact, about the people. Because the climate condition is so adverse for the preservation of DNA. We almost failed, in fact, in getting DNA. But this is the last skeleton. This is a lady's, skeletal remains. And we always say that lady, in fact, came to our rescue. So we found a very strong DNA in this particular lady. And people always there is always a criticism that on the basis of DNA from one skeletal remain, how we can generalize. But those who understand, the population genomics, they know that we have one DNA from one skeletal remain. That is very significant. It is like testing rice. Whether rice is cooked or not, you pick up one grade. So DNA is like that only. You don't have to test so many skeletal remains. So from this, we were able to understand who are the people. And now we know that most of the developments were done by the indigenous people. We found that around 12,000 years ago, I'll just give you background, around 12,000 years, in fact, the hunter-gatherers came to South Asia. In fact, they split into 2 groups. One went to Iran, one came to South Asia. And the one South Asia, which are different from maybe Iranian cheese and also Central Asian genes. And those genes in fact have continued till today. We also have analyzed the modern data in fact of the population from Afghanistan to the northwest, northeast, and from Andaman Nicobar to Ladakh and Kashmir. And what is interesting that most of us, no matter what religion we follow, what caste or creed we follow, what language we follow, most of us are the descendants of the Harappans. So that is the evidence that we get. So most of the development that was done. So that was done in fact by the Harappans. So from this creation now we can certainly come to the conclusion that first in the world to practice democratic rule, that is Panchayat rule, and very effective administration system was developed by the Harappans. And subsequently this knowledge has continued through oral tradition. Subsequently, when Kautila wrote his Arthashastra, most of the observations that are passed on from generation to generation, they found place in fact in his Arthashastra. So this is very, very important evidence. And then the result that we analyzed, they were published in a very prestigious journal called Shane. This is the most scientific journal in the world. And the title itself says that an ancient Harappan genome lacks ancestry from steppe pastoralists or Iranian farmers. So these are the indigenous people. And this particular research, these are the 40 impact factors, this particular journal. And this in 2019, after the publication of this research paper, the International Conference on Genomics, the biggest organization on this genomic science, they had identified 9 breakthrough researches in the world. And the Latiguri research was also on top of that. So that means this research is accepted by the scientific community all over the world. So scientifically we have proved that the Harappans were the people who are responsible for developing most of the knowledge system, and they are the first in fact in the world to develop a democratic system. Unfortunately what happens in fact now, then you think that why it does not continue. After the Britishers started ruling in fact this country, they had given the impression to the world that they have come here to civilize these people. They always thought Indians are backward, they are barbaric, and there is a need to civilize. But when they found that we had such advanced civilization, and they also realized that the Indians had a very, very strong what we know as the knowledge system. And they realized that this knowledge system is allowed. In fact, Indians had very strong education system, and that was working very, very fast. Before the arrivals of the Europeans, the Indian contribution to GDP was something like 35%, very highest in fact in the world. And that was because of the knowledge system that was created. So they made sure that this knowledge system is denied to the people. They have obliterated completely our knowledge system, and they have imposed on us the system, which is the Western system of education. And they made sure that there is no scope for Indians in fact to think in this particular system. There is no scope for innovation, and because of that, the tradition that was developed in fact, that has discontinued because of that. And therefore after that we don't see the evidence of the continuity of the systems that were introduced by the Harappan people. And finally, one more research that we did for the first time is called the craniofacial reconstruction. How exactly poor people look like. So we have done 3D reconstruction of the facial features of Harappans. Here you can see a facial reconstruction of a Harappan boy, around 19 to 20 years boy, and you can see how the modern in fact Haryana boy looks exactly like for the looks like Harappan boy. And in the lower picture we have a reconstruction of the Harappan woman and the modern Harappan, maybe modern Haryana woman. So there is so much continuity in spite of the efforts by the Britishers. Some of the traditions have continued, but since some of the traditions were not part of the education system, they were discontinued. Otherwise, people have followed a lot of traditions, through oral traditions, a lot of traditions have continued. And these are the people. In fact, we find the continuity in the material culture, we find continuity in the genetic history, and also in the continuity in the, complexion, appearance, in fact, there is so much continuity. So because of that, we can say that, there is, we are the people, in fact, who have introduced this important system in the world. So we are pioneers, and there should not be any, hesitation, in fact, in declaring that, because we have strong architectural evidence for that. Thank you very much. Yeah, please. See, I think there is a lot of issues involved with that, with the dating of Mahabharata and also dating of Ramayana. Because there are different dates given by different scholars. We have not yet come to the conclusion that 3000 BC or maybe 3000 before crisis, before common era, the date is for Mahabharata. It is very difficult to say that, because some scholars say that maybe like Professor B.B. Lal, for example, he puts it in around 1200 to 39 BC, because there's a mention about big palaces. The palaces were there, or the big buildings are there. So they were there in fact at the Harappan levels, and they were there in fact in the second urbanization, which happened around maybe 4th, 5th century CE, 6th century BC. So maybe his argument that it may have happened between these two organizations sometime. There is also mention about iron, and the date of iron does not go beyond 1500 BC. So there are some issues that we have not been able to find conclusive evidence for dating these important epics, in fact, even today. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Shivaji, for the wonderful and informative session. Now, before Sri K.K. Mohammed starts his presentation, few lines about him. As you all know, he was the former regional director at ASI, that is the Archaeological Survey of India, and he is a Padma Shri awardee as well. And he was part of many archaeological excavation teams. And during his excavation team's activity, he had to face Naxals, he had to face mining mafia, and also he had to face political pressures. Even though all of these, he managed to complete all the tasks very successfully. And you all remember that he was part of the excavation team of Babri Masjid as well. After the activity started at that site, he of a temple, and that news was suppressed. And the activity continued, and after a while, he found 12 pillars. He actually used all those evidences to hypothesize that the temple existed before the mosque. And we know fearlessness, and most importantly, the passion towards restoring the culture and heritage of our nation makes him unique. And all this makes Sri K.K. Mohammed a great archaeologist. Welcome, sir. I request you to start.
So, for today's program, we have lighted the lamp, dispelled the darkness, Deepu Jyoti, Param Jyoti, Deepu Jyoti Janardana, Deepo Hartu Mepa, Deepu Jyoti Namostude. Friends, we have a galaxy of people. Patasi Chaudhary Sabi said, the great Professor Vidya Sagarji, who has actually initiated artificial intelligence in India, he is here. We have Srinivasa Murthy, who is now, I think the whole Indic system. He is in New York, but supporting it in a lot of programs about Archaeological Survey of India also and for other things. And I have my own personal friends, Siddharth from INTAC, and then we have Sangamitra Madam from Interreligious Group, and many other people. So thank you all, thank you very much for coming to this program. What I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about the conservation of the monuments. We have a very illuminating speech about this one about Harappa and achievement we had made in Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and various other places by processing data. So I'm going to speak about the conservation of the heritage, in which nobody is paying any attention. So I would be very critical. Please don't expect me that I would be supporting many of your views. Next please. Yeah. So this is a place known as Bateshwar, which is in Cham. And this is a temple. इसको लाइट to जाना पड़ेगा. So this is a typical temple of the area that is in Chambal. You have what the Vedibanda lower portion. It is almost a human concept. Vedibanda means your feet, then Janna, then Varantiga, then Shikara. Next please. Next. This is Chambal. When you say Chambal, it is forest, it is not Chambal forest. This is when here you have a maze of dunes and dunes, which are so only to the dacoits. Next. This is just look at this Mansi, one of the famous dacoits. In 1112 robberies, he killed 185 people, out of them 32 were police people. This is Mohan Singh. Mohan Singh passed away 2 years back. Before that, he wrote a letter to the Honorable Prime Minister that the work at Chambal, the temple reconstruction work at Chambal that has come to a grinding halt. Now, please kindly resume it, but there was no action from there. Next. It's Malkhan Singh who used to use a letter pad for kidnap. He used to send a letter in his own letter. Next, please. This is Pan Singh Tomar. Now there is a film also on Pan Singh Tomar. I knew the person who had shot him dead. His name is Vijay Raman. He was not only shot him dead, it was he who had shot dead Ghazi Baba. Who is Ghazi Baba? Ghazi Baba was that Pakistani terrorist who had bombed our government. He was the mastermind behind this one bombing our parliament house. So it was he who had shot Vijay Raman. So this is a file photograph of this Pan Singh Tomar. Next, please. Next. This is Pula Devi, we all know. After the quality, she surrendered and then she became an MP. On a single day, he killed 22 people. On a single day. So it is, you have to work in such an area. Next please. I met them. Next please. So he gave me full help and support, and he gave an instruction also to those people because they have got their own connection. That Muhammad is my man. He is coming for the conservation of the temples. He should be given all kinds of support. So that was enough for me. And then there were certain surrender dacoits there at the site also. Then there was one Listusi. He was also in another group. So all these people were there. Next please. So after getting the permission, when I went to the site, मैंने पूरी जगह को इसी तरीके से देखा. No two stones were together. पूरे की पूरा खत्म हो गया था. Next please. You can see site lying like this. But now you are under the surveillance of the dacoits, and you have to work under them only because without getting their permission, without getting their support also, you just cannot do anything there. So, see one on the other side. So just look at it, this A means you can see a step. So that was a clue for me that there was a temple. Taking temple meaning there is a huge tree there. Then I just gave orders because you just cannot be there for a long time because you don't know how they are going to behave. So I just gave orders that it should be cleaned. So when we cleaned the whole area, how did the site look like? Next please. Just ये बिल्कुल इसी तरीके से लगता था. As in a huge earthquake, the entire temple town had come tumbling down. तो अभी ये एक बहुत अच्छी साइट है फोटोग्राफर के लिए, जैसे रमेश जी वगैरह है, इनके लिए एक बहुत अच्छी साइट है. And this is a very good site for a journalist also, because he has to write only a photo, the article. But for an archaeologist, it is a Himalayan task. क्योंकि आपको इसमें से एक-एक चीजों से, एक-एक पत्थर से उसमें जबान डालना पड़ेगा, उनसे पूछना पड़ेगा when the temple was standing, where to. सुनने की मोहलत मिले तो, सुनने की मोहलत मिले तो आवाज है पत्थरों में, सुनने की मोहलत मिले तो आवाज है पत्थरों में, उजड़े हुए बत्तियों में भी आवाज़ियाँ बोली. जब कोई नहीं बोलता तो खामोशियां बोली, कभी दीवार से उतर के परछाइयां बोली. तो यू हैव टू पुट इट इन ईच एंड एवरी स्टोन. तो पूछा, पूरे स्टडी किया, उसके बाद फिर हम लोगों ने सोचा कि इसको ठीक ठाक करेंगे, इसको जो ना मंदिर बनाएंगे. लेकिन जब हम अगर आपसे पूछेंगे इसमें से एक मंदिर बना सकते हैं, आप कहेंगे कि असंभव है. लेकिन वो असंभव को हम लोग संभव बनाने जा रहे हैं. Again, we saw the site like this. Next year. ये अंग्रेजी वो था, I mean journalist and he was photographer also. उन्होंने ये कहने के देखने के बाद उन्होंने this is the biggest globe अगर किया है वैसे. Next year. इतना टूटा हमें छूने से बिखर जाएंगे, किसी भी टाइम गिर सकते. अभी इंफोसिस का काम शुरू कर दिया, वो काम करते इस मंदिर से, लेकिन वो मंदिर अब भी बचा हुआ. तो हम लोगों ने काम शुरू कर दिया है. There again we started from A, that is a pillar base. Pillar base है तो हमारा जो बिगिनिंग होगा, जो एंट्रेंस गेट होगा, वो वहीं से होगा. हमें जब अयोध्या में एक्सकवेशन किया था, इसी तरीके का पिलर बेस मिला था. तो पिलर बेस मिलने के बाद फिर हम लोगों को पता चला ये पिलर भी, उसके ऊपर का पिलर भी होगा, वो पिलर भी मिल गया. उसमें जो ना अष्टमंगल चिन्ह थे, एक ऑस्ट्रिशियन सिंबल थे, उसमें एक तो पूर्ण का रखा था. तो अयोध्या में जो मिला था उसमें से देन प्रोफेसर बीबी लाल, इट वाज द वी आर वर्किंग अंडर प्रोफेसर बीबी लाल, वी केम टू द कंक्लूजन दैट इट वाज द टेंपल साइट. फिर उसके बाद 261 टेराकोटा आइडल्स एंड एसोसिएटेड विद मंदिर वो भी मिला. फिर सीरीज ऑफ थिंग एंड देन देयर वाज एन इंस्क्रिप्शन. फिर जो ना गार्गोइल थे, जो मगध प्रणाला जो करते हैं, इसी तरीके से कई चीजें मिलने की वजह से जो ना हम लोगों को ये पता चला कि जो ना दैट वाज द मंदिर बिलो द माउस. So now what you have to do is you have to put this pillar over this one, that is A, and then this is Phalaga, that is C, then this is D, that is Hirsha. So you have to piece them together. लेकिन जो है you cannot have a gateway by only one. So with this one pillar, you have to have that one also. You are not getting that one, and then the archaeological instinct that works. Because you know what is the archaeological instinct? You have to excavate it. When we excavated it, we got the other pillar base also. B, no A, then where is the pillar? Next. We got the other one also, and now you have to join them together. Next. So you have the surgical mark there, you have the surgical mark there also. We are just keeping it, the surgical mark. If we want, we can erase it, but we will not erase it. क्योंकि इसमें एक कहानी है, वो कहानी बताने के लिए हम लोग ये हमेशा रखते हैं. Next please. Next. सेकेंड भी हो गया. तो हम लोगों का जो ना कंडीशन ये था, ये डेकॉइट से कंडीशन ये था कि उन लोगों ने कहा कि आप एक सैंपल दिखा दीजिए, वो भी 4 महीने के अंदर दिखाना चाहिए. तो हम लोगों ने उससे दूसरा एक कंडीशन रखा कि वो ये 4 महीना आप लोग ना यहाँ नहीं रहेंगे, यू विल गो टू सम अदर प्लेस फॉर डेकॉइट. कहीं और जाके डेकॉइट कीजिए, हमें उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. बिकॉज़ इफ दे आर हियर वी वुड बी अंडर प्रेशर. तो हम लोगों ने कहा कि आप यहाँ मत रहिएगा, एंड दे अकॉर्डिंगली दे वेंट टू अदर प्लेस. And now all this is done with the. So next week. So now I mean all these 4 symbols that was brought down
strong foundation was given and then it was re-erected as it was. ये 4 महीने के अंदर किए हम लोगों ने. So by that time they came. They know we were able to conquer them. उन्होंने ये आके देखा तो उनके जो एक पायलट पार्टी आते थे पहले, तो वो पायलट पार्टी जो आके देखे उन्होंने ये कहा सरदार ये यहाँ तो चमत्कार का काम किया है. तो सरदार तो निर्भय सिंह गुजर था, उन्होंने आके देखा, मुस्कुराने के लिए कोशिश किया, मुस्कुरा नहीं पाया क्योंकि he had killed a number of people, तो मुस्कुरा नहीं पाया, he could only smear. तो उन्होंने कहा कि ये दिस इज ए चमत्कार का काम. So that was a kind of certificate for us. तो अब हम लोग हैं आगे जा सकते हैं. तो आपने इस तरह देखा था, now it is there. So most of these temples were Shiva temples. विष्णु टेम्पल भी था, बहुत बड़ा जो देखा था वो विष्णु टेम्पल था, बाकी सब शिवा टेम्पल थे. तो शिवा would be having that जटा मकुटा, जिसमें उन्होंने गंगा जी को पकड़ लिया था. तो देवी सर्वी शिखंडी च सर्वांग सर्वभावना हरिश्च हरिनाथस्थ सर्वभूतहर प्रभु. Ultimately, who destroys everything? Shashvatam Shivam Achyutam. There is anything everlasting, that is only Shiva. So, I mean, most of them were Shiva temples. Now, this temple, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम था, शिवा मंदिर ये है या विष्णु है, इनसाइड में कोई गर्भगृह में कुछ नहीं था. Then we look at it, दलाड़ भीमा में वो उसमें है गणपति जी, गणपति शिव का बेटा है. लेकिन जब sometimes he would be there in Vishnu temple also and Krishna Vinayaka. So we were in a problem. Then again our archaeological sense prevailed. I looked at this one small stone. It looks very nauseous, but for an archaeologist it is very important. ये rectangular. Had it been square, that would have been a Vishnu temple. क्योंकि विष्णु सजा के लिए आपको वही चाहिए. हमें यहाँ जो ना ये rectangular है. That means ये मंदिर स्थान है. So I just recited the mantra वाहनम वृषभो यस्य वासुकी कंठभूषणम वामे शक्तिधरम सेवा स्वाकाराय नमो नमः. Just recited the mantra. Pradakshina of the temple. You just take a pradakshina of the temple 7 times. And then when I looked towards the slopey side, there was a very small, beautiful, cute Nandi looking at me as if he was waiting for me for the last 1,200 वो है ना, ये रफ्त मोहब्बत से डिवाइन लव, ये रफ्त मोहब्बत भी क्या रफ्त मोहब्बत है, दिल उनका वहाँ का आवाज यहाँ है. तो एक बार दांत कहीं तो दुनिया. तो हम लोगों ने आंखें जो इसमें रखे देखा, whether it was he was properly sitting and he was perfectly satisfied and he was sitting there next to us. बिल्कुल किताब हो गया. अब आप पूछेंगे नंदी कहाँ है? Yes, small beautiful pure Nandi and he is looking at Shiva and Parvati sitting in Kailash and listening to that Om which is coming from there. What is Om? Om Tat Brahma, Om Tat Vayu, Om Tat Atma, Om Tat Satyam, Om Tat Sattva. So he is listening to that Om which is coming from him. Next. Next. अब ये है the parts are lying there. इस जगह से कोई भी चोरी नहीं हुआ. बाकी कोई भी जगह होगा चोरी हो जाती है. But since it was entrusted with these people, it was a blessing in disguise. तो हम लोगों को ये सारी चीजें वही मिल गई except some powerful. बाकी सब सारी चीजें यही मिल गई. Next. तो हम लोगों ने काम शुरू कर दिया कि बिल्कुल जैसे अलिफ लैला में होते हैं, तो उसी तरीके से हमारा जिन्नात ने काम शुरू कर दिया. Next. बिल्कुल एकदम तैयार हो गया. आपने ये भी देखा था, ये बिल्कुल तैयार हो गया. नेक्स्ट. अब ये है ना, इट लुक्स लाइक द सेटिंग ऑफ एन इंग्लिश हॉरर स्टोरी. पहले हम लोगों के जमाने में ड्रैकुला जैसे वो होता था, उसका सेटिंग जैसे लेते थे. बिकॉज दिस इज द गर्भगृह, इसके बाद अंदर आना है, ये सब जगह गिर गया है. So you have to bring them down, give a very strong foundation, and then re-erect it as it was. कितनी खूबसूरत जगह तीन मंदिर बन गया है. डिवाइन इन कंसेप्शन एंड सप्लाई इन एग्जीक्यूशन. ये बहुत बढ़िया. that the very guidance, grace of his garden, बहुत खूबसूरत. तो आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट को जो ना कुछ पेड़ आई है, जैसे शिवजी का जो पेड़ आई है, बट ही डिस्ट्रॉयज द वर्ल्ड. लेकिन हम लोग जो नीचे से चीजें क्या है, तो वो देखने के लिए ये पेड़ आई का यूज करते हैं. So I was just walking, I could feel that I'm getting big temples below my shoes. जब हम लोगों ने excavation करके देखा, because in your mind it meanders through the fascinating labyrinth of our things, and you come out with some kind of concept. It's a kind of institution कहिए, कुछ भी कहिए, seven cells कहिए, six cells कहिए, fifth cells कहिए, जो भी कहिएगा, it works. जब देखा इस मलबे से हम लोग इसी तरह से उस मलबे से 1, 2, 3, 4 4 मंदिर बने. अब चलो पहले पानी नहीं था, दैट वाज ए वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम. टापू को भी एक प्रॉब्लम था, उनको भी पानी नहीं मिलते थे. लेकिन हम लोगों ने पूरा कंट्रोल देखने के बाद हम लोगों को लगा यहाँ पानी मिल जाएगी. सिर्फ हम लोगों ने वहाँ खोल के देखा, सिर्फ पानी नहीं, हमें 3 मंदिर भी मुफ्त में मिल गया. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. तो हम लोगों ने ये 3 मंदिर मिल गया. उसके बाद यहाँ एक्सकर्शन किया, यहाँ इट वाज कंप्लीटली फिल्ड. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. तो वहां से जो ना आपको पानी मिलने वाला है. लेकिन जो ना हम लोग, हमारे लिए ये पानी ऑर्डिनरी पानी नहीं है. पानी आने के पहले जो ना वो की गंगा यमुना सरस्वती सबको वो ऋग्वेद की जो मंत्र पढ़ के ही जो ना हम लोग इन्वोक करेंगे. इवं में गंगे यमुने सरस्वती सुपुत्र सोमम सजदा परिष्णया. ये पूरा ऋग्वेद का सूक्त है, तंत्र मंडला में है, एक ही सूक्त है. वो पूरे रिसाइट करने के बाद जो ना, जो हम लोग भी आजकल शायद नहाते हैं, वो गंगे से जमुने शैव गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदे सिंधु कावेरी जलेस्मिन सन्निधि गुरु. आजकल भी मेरे में अक्सर जो ना ब्राह्मण फैमिली में मैंने देखा है, लोग जो ना आजकल भी करते हैं. So now you have to get water, and after invoking that water, just look at it, copious amount of water. It was a miracle. So तत्व का कमनीयतम मनचंगा है तो कटौती में करना. So that was another transformation line for us. क्योंकि अब जो ना कुछ ऐसी छोटे मोटे जो डाकू भी थे, वो लोग जो ना सब हम लोग के साथ आते हैं. उन्होंने डकैती छोड़ दिया, फिर हमारा साथ हो गया, एंड वी स्टार्ट पेइंग द कॉस्ट. अब हमारा वर्कर हो गया. सो दैट वाज एन एडिशनल काइंड ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन फॉर. ये होता है एडिशनल प्रोटेक्शन फॉर. Because there was a vibration at the site. A kind of, even if you are a non-believer and go to the site, you would be completely, there would be some point you would be shaken. That site would shake. I don't know whether, I am also a rationalist, not very religious person, but it shakes you sometimes. And it has always shaken me also. And I had some kind of revelations also. ऐसी करना है. I don't know, it could be a kind of illusion. It could be something else also, but there was certain direction. अब यहाँ 3 मंदिर भी मिल गया आपको उसी के नीचे. अब ये है बहुत बड़ा पेड़. ये पेड़ जो ना पूरा मंदिर को खा लिया. इसी तरीके से कई मंदिर को जो कई पेड़ों ने खा लिया था. So now as per Agamas, you can cut down the tree in order to save the temple, in order to rescue the temple. Lekin you, as per Agamas, you have to take again the permission. Permission of the tree. Namaste, Vriksho, Ujayam, because then you are adorable, you are respectful. Namaste, Shamandu, हमें क्षमा कीजिएगा. And then you have to say, Vidivat Sambarakta. I am doing it as per the scriptural instruction. मुझे कुछ काम करना है, इस मंदिर को बचाना है. So you have to seek the permission of the tree before cutting them down. और सिर्फ आपको जो उसके बाद देना उन पंछियों से भी, from you have to take the permission from those birds also who will be roosting over that one. तो उनसे आपको कहना पड़ेगा, आप जो है इधर से you kindly migrate from this tree to some other habitable tree. अन्यथा वासम परिगल्पयन्तु. Kindly migrate from this tree to some other habitable tree, and not only from them, ये also for the insects also. तो सब लोगों से सबसे परमिशन ले लिया with all the ritualistic thing. हमारा एक्चुअली पेड़ काटना भी जो ना that was a kind of ritual. Next, इस तरीके से ना इस roots are going through the roots of the temple. पूरा गिर गया तो नीचे से काम शुरू कर दिया. यहाँ तक पहुँच गया. Next thing, वहाँ तक आ गया. Next thing, just look at this. Penguin fresh coming. Fresh, clean, unsoiled. It looks like that of a real jewel casket. उतनी खूबसूरत जन्म मंदिर, but it is of 1,200 years before. By using the same material, इसमें हम लोगों को जो ना एक भी पत्थर नया लगाने की जरूरत नहीं, सब कुछ वही. ये पूरा fragments वही पड़ा हुआ है. Again, thankful to the Dacoits because of their person. कोई भी चोरी नहीं हुआ है. By using the same thing, we have made the temple next. यहाँ तक आ गया next, वहाँ तक आ गया next. Just look at it. All the print of it. अब तो Dacoits और कुछ हो गया. तो अभी और कुछ लोग थे, वो लोग भी हमारे साथ आ गए. Now the main man that is progressing future, he was left with very few people, but he was also under pressure because by this time. Three governments. By this time, earlier what was happening, he would be doing the authority in Madhya Pradesh, cross Chambal, and then he would go to UP. So the police cannot register the case against him. So अब जब तीनों government एक साथ हो गया, they made a task force. So he was running from pillar to post. बिल्कुल बात रहे थे. अब यहाँ का ये मंदिर है. तो ओनली ये आपने पहले भी देखा है. ओनली द स्टेप्स आते. तो हम लोगों ने पहले पेड़ को निकाला विद ऑल द मंत्रास, विद ऑल द ड्यू प्रोसेस. इसको पूरा निकाला. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. तो इट बिकेम लाइक दिस. अब यहाँ हम लोगों ने ये पहले जो ए लिखा है वहाँ 6 मंदिर बनाएंगे, उसके पीछे 8 मंदिर बनाएंगे, उसके आगे जो ना 6 मंदिर और बनाएंगे. तो 20 मंदिर दे आर जस्ट गोइंग टू कम बिफोर यू. आपने मुझे पता नहीं कि आप जो ना पुनर्जन्म में विश्वास है या नहीं. तो यहाँ मंदिरों का पुनर्जन्म होने जाते हैं. By the same material. So next week. Next week. Almost 2 मंदिर तो तैयार हो गए. Next week. आप देख सकते हो. दो तो तैयार हो गए, but I have promised you 6 मंदिर. 7 please. तीसरा आ गया. 4th please. 4th one has come. 5th please. वो भी आ गया. 6th please. 6 मंदिर का डेकोरेशन हो गया. And this is the proportion. Symmetry, balance. वो कितने खूबसूरत मंदिर थे. And each stone that has gone into the creation of it is very well conceived and then cut and polished like a sparkling diamond. फिर एक दूसरे के ऊपर जो है crafted and then ultimately it has become a real symphony. एक beautiful support. इतना बढ़िया हो गया. And that too, what was the condition earlier? इसमें से इन लोगों ने बनाया. Unbelievable. वही मैं कह रहा हूँ. ये असंभव था लेकिन संभव हो गया. असंभव को संभव बनाएंगे. Again, that would be having its own impact on the Dacoits also. Next piece. This must go. It is not my comment. This must go in comment of the same state. Must go as one of the most sensitive archaeological projects in history. Next piece. पीछे वाला जरा. This one again 8 temple. अब इसके पीछे वाला पोर्शन की करना है. 8 temples have now coming up. पूरा वो भी तैयार हो जाए. ये सब जगह Dacoits हैं. This is the searching है. बाकी सारे जगह Dacoits हैं. But now they are all staying in the place. So we are preparing not only the monument, we are preparing the man also. The man will have this process. Next week. देखिए कितनी खूबसूरत हो गया है. एक जमाने में जो ना बिल्कुल देवदास इतने भी थे, वो भी वाकई थे। उसी जगह जो ना हम लोगों ने इतने खूबसूरत बनाया। तो मैं अक्सर कहता हूँ कि द रियल लॉर्ड शिवा एंड पार्वती कम टॉक टू अस, दे वुड प्रेफर टू स्पेंड फ्यू डेज एट लीस्ट इन माय न्यू कैलाश। इतनी खूबसूरत हो गया, इतना अदर कैलाश हो गया। अब इस पोर्टल को एस्केलेट करना है। You will be getting many temples from here. अब ये देखिएगा पूरे की पूरे 6 अगर 7 ये दरअसल है पूरा टेम्पल होगा। अब यहाँ एक्सकेवेट करेंगे, ये यहाँ पर भी आपको मंदिर मिलेगा। ये सब जो ना भाई 2012 तक जो हम लोगों ने ये पूरा काम किया था। ये हनुमान जी है। हनुमान जी है बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट, क्योंकि वो जो ना डाकू जितने भी थे, डंका डालने के पहले जो यहाँ के पूजा करते थे। जितना पूजा शक्ति होगा उतना जो ना उनको मान मिलेंगे, यही उनका विश्वास था। यदि डकैती करके जो मान लाने के बाद बूटी भी जो है यहीं से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुआ करता था। तो क्योंकि उसमें कोई खयानत नहीं होना चाहिए, तो इसलिए जो ना बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते थे। नेक्स्ट, इस मंदिर को हम लोगों ने ऐसी देखा, ओनली 2 टेम्पल्स वर स्टैंडिंग। उसी चीज को यूज करते हुए एक मंदिर बनाया। नेक्स्ट, अब यही मंदिर में नहीं, हाँ यहाँ यही मंदिर अभी जो ना इन्फोसिस काम कर रहे हैं इन्फोसिस। अब इससे एक मंदिर जो है बटेश्वर महादेव के मंदिर, इस फ्रैगमेंट को यूज करते हुए ये सब जो आपको जो ना नया टेम्पल के 1, 2, 4 ओनली दैट वाज पैटर्न। Now there is a traffic jam of temples. That's what it is. Next. So अभी डेकोरेट ये तो टास्क फोर्स बना दिया। Now they were also under pressure, भाग रहे थे। तो he wanted to meet me, तो मुझे उतना हिम्मत नहीं था। So I was just trying to avoid it. That is nervous in the church का डेकोरेट के जो सरदार, तो एक वो भी समझ गया मैं अवॉइड कर रहा हूँ। वेटिंग फॉर मी, वाज मूविंग फ्रॉम वन टेम्पल टू अनदर टेम्पल। तो जब यहाँ पहुंचा थोड़ा सा डिस्टेंस में, तो मैंने जब एक्सकर्शन किया, मुझे ये एक्सकर्शन किया तो मुझे ये दिस का स्टेयरकेस, ये पूरा बाउंड्री वॉल मिला। तो यहाँ बैठ के जब एक आदमी बिलीव किया रहा था, तो नॉट इनसाइड द टेम्पल, आउटसाइड द टेम्पल था। तो मुझे गुस्सा आ गया। मैंने उनसे पूछा आपको शर्म नहीं आती, आप मंदिर में पीडीपी है? ही लुक तक थी मेरी कंडक्टेस की, उनके ऊपर कोई असर नहीं था। सो बाय दैट टाइम मेरे जो इंटरमीडिएरीज में भी थे, वो उनको मैं जो सरेंडर अकॉर्ड करना उनको साथ ही रखता था, क्योंकि इफ समथिंग गोज रॉन्ग दे वुड बी देयर टू सपोर्ट मी। तो वो आके मेरा हाथ पकड़ा, मुझसे कहा सर इनसे। सो दैट वाज एन इनफ वार्निंग फॉर मी। तो मैं एकदम जब समझ गया कि कौन है, तो आई सीन दिस इंटरव्यू ऑल्सो, आज तक चैनल में देखा था। तो उसमें उन्होंने कहा था कि अगर मुलायम सिंह यादव भी यूपी चीफ मिनिस्टर कहेंगे तो मैं सरेंडर करने के लिए तैयार हूँ। अगर वो उससे कहेंगे मैं आप इलेक्शन लड़िए, मैं इलेक्शन लड़ने के लिए तैयार हूँ। तो ये उनका कहना था। एंड देन ही सेड दैट फॉर सरेंडरिंग ही शुड बी गिवन ए हेलीकॉप्टर। ये बहुत बड़ा डिमांड में कहा था। तो गवर्नमेंट कुड नॉट एक्सेप्ट इट, so he was running next week. इनके एक भाई मर गया, उसको मार दिया गया। इनके सन left the group, इनकी वाइफ चले गया। So he was only left with 4 people there. उनको पता था कि he could hear the sound of the death door. तो वो बिल्कुल भाग रहे थे कई जगह से। लेकिन we had our meeting there, so मैंने उनसे कहा अब तो बात भी नहीं सकते, मैं बात नहीं सकता हूँ। मैं उनके पैर पर बैठ गया और मैंने उनसे कहा सर क्योंकि पुस्तक करना ही पड़ेगा, तो बिल्कुल हालात मेरा भी वो है। तो मैंने कहा कि यहाँ का ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश जितने भी है वो सिर्फ आप ही की वजह से बच गया, वरना जो ना इधर इन अमेरिका या इंग्लैंड में या फ्रांस में पेरिस में कहीं पर भी होता, तो आप ही की वजह से बच गया। तो उनको बहुत अच्छा लगा। उसके बाद मैंने कहा कि ईश्वर ने इस जगह की को बचाने के लिए आपको यहाँ भेजा है, एंड इसके पीछे एक बहुत बड़ा रहस्य है. So he became curious, oh, रहस्य क्या होगा? तो मैंने कहा all these temples they have been built by a very powerful dynasty. वो तो पूरा नॉर्थ इंडिया का पूरा डायनास्टी था, गुज्जर परिहारा डायनास्टी का. वही लोगों ने इस मंदिर बनाया है, गुजरात में भी बनाया, राजस्थान में भी बनाया, उत्तरांचल में भी बनाया. And the name of the dynasty is Gujjar Pradihara dynasty, and your name is Nirbhay Singh Gujjar, which means you belong to that illustrious family of the kings and rajas and maharajas. वो तो बिल्कुल उनको जो है बिल्कुल एकदम blown over to feet. I don't know. हाँ ये इवर तोमर भी है, कई इतने भी है, वो तो कई ग्रुप का परिहर है, बहुत अच्छा गडरिया ग्रुप का छोटा ग्रुप है, बाकी जना सब जना बड़े 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 ग्रुप. तो वो क्योंकि ये सब लोग इसका देवी पूजा बहुत करते हैं, तो मैंने थोड़ा सा उनको जो ना मैंने देवी महात्मा से थोड़ा सा सुनाया. हम क्या कर शविदात्री इसका गर्भन करना ठीक करना है. एंड यू हैव टू हैव द पिलर्स आल्सो. पिलर भी आ गया, इसके ऊपर का रूफिंग होना है, रूफिंग भी हो गया. ये पूरे के पूरे एक बहुत बड़ा मंदिर बन रहे हैं. देखिए कितना बड़ा मंदिर बन गया. क्योंकि इसमें जब हम लोगों ने उनको अनुभव जीत दिया या ना होती है. He might not be happy with Mohammed Ghazali, Mohammed Ghori, जिन्होंने मंदिर तोड़ा है, लेकिन क्योंकि मोहम्मद से वो बहुत खुश हो गया. तो शादी Lord Shiva is agreed to marry also, otherwise you know this one Aparad would be increasing, so he is agreed to marry also next week. Just for that. ये है कल्याण सुंदर मूर्ति ऑफ लॉर्ड शिवा. सबसे ज्यादा हम लोगों के पास में ये बहुत है, खासतौर से तमिलनाडु में जाएंगे तो सर यहाँ से भी जना बहुत ज्यादा है. कल्याण सुंदर मूर्ति, अगर शादी हो गया तो बच्चे भी होना चाहिए. एक दंतम चतुर्बाहु विजयवक्त्रम महोदरम सिद्धि बुद्धि समन्वितम मुशीदार. वो गणपति जी अपने वाइफ को भी दिखाना चाह रहे थे. देखिए तो वाइफ को भी इस तरह की बहुत सारे मूर्तियां हम लोगों को मिले. ये सब जो आजकल गौड़िया म्यूजियम है. तो ये है यशोधरा सिंधिया, फॉर्मर राजस्थान चीफ मिनिस्टर की छोटी बहन. शी वाज हाईली सपोर्टिव, क्योंकि बहुत सपोर्ट करते थे हम लोगों को. तो उनसे कहा कि मोहम्मद जी आपने इतना बड़ा काम किया, मुझे ले जाके दिखाया नहीं. तो मैंने कहा मैं आपको ले जाके दिखा नहीं सकता था, क्योंकि उस जमाने में डाकू बहुत ज्यादा थे. वो आपको किडनैप करेंगे, उसके साथ मुझे भी किडनैप करेंगे. तो उन्होंने कहा कि अब खत्म हो गया. तो मैंने कहा ये हो गया. तो दिस इज मैडम, एंड ये है मिस्टर अरगल, जो वोट फॉर कैस्ट होते हैं. एक जमाने में जो पार्लियामेंट में बहुत बड़ा ये था, अरगल. तो दे वर हाईली इम्प्रेस्ड. मुझसे कहा कि आपको क्या चाहिए, तो टूरिज्म. मैंने कहा कि यहाँ आने के लिए रोड नहीं. तो इमीडिएटली she was very powerful and she had that kind of understanding of archaeology also. उन्होंने बहुत जल्दी ऑर्डर दे दिया और रोड अब तो बहुत अच्छा रोड बन गया. नेक्स्ट थिंग ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया अगेन वेरी सपोर्टिव, बहुत अच्छा काम करते थे. आई कुड स्पीक टू हिम एनीथिंग, क्या क्या चाहिए. तो सब जन मैं उनसे डायरेक्टली बात करता था, तो सेक्रेटरी जो है नाराज हो जाते थे. आप जो ना इनसे मिनिस्टर से कैसे डायरेक्टली बात करते हैं, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट में ये है कि वो सेक्रेटरी से बात करेंगे, सेक्रेटरी जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी से बात करेंगे, एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी से बात करेंगे, तो वो फिर डायरेक्टर जनरल से बात करेंगे, फिर डायरेक्टर जनरल मुझसे बात करेंगे. ये सब नहीं चाहिए एंड वेरी एक्टिव। तो आपने इसी तरीके से देखा था और वो हमने क्या बनाया नेक्स्ट बहुत बड़ा जो है बन गया। अब नाउ ऑल अराउंड आई हैव मेड ए लैंडस्केप आल्सो, बहुत अच्छा गार्डन भी बना दिया। बहुत अच्छा जगह है, आज तक याद है वो उजले दयार का मंजर मुझको, आज तक याद है वो उजले दयार का मंजर मुझको, जिसकी तस्वीर निगाहों में लिए फिरता हूं। आजकल भी वही ये फिरता है। इतना बढ़िया जगह हो गया। तो आपने इसी हालात में देखा था, वही हम लोगों ने एक एक पत्थर से पूछा और क्या अनुमति मिलने के बाद जब दोबारा रिकंस्ट्रक्शन किया, असंभव से संभव यही बनाया नेक्स्ट। तो बहुत बढ़िया ये सब जो ना, अब जो मैं कुछ कड़वी बात करने जा रहा हूँ, वो भी ये सब जो ना कांग्रेस पीरियड में 2014 में जब बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट आया तो एक साथ यहाँ बैठे हुए, इसलिए जो मैं कह रहा हूँ सामने कह रहा हूँ, हमने सोचा कि बहुत अब जो है वी विल बी वेरी फ्री, वी विल बी गेटिंग अ लॉट ऑफ सपोर्ट फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट, बहुत कुछ मिलेगा, काम बहुत अच्छा बन जाएगा करके। अब आप क्या सोच रहे हैं कि पिछले 9 साल में क्या कितना मंदिर और बनाया हो? एक भी मंदिर नहीं। मैं बिल्कुल मायूस हो गया। एक भी मंदिर जो है 9 सालों में नहीं बना। गौरवशाली की बिहार की जना आरएसएस की बात करते, जैसे बीजेपी की बात करते हैं, और यहाँ कई लोग हैं उसमें, लेकिन एक भी मंदिर नहीं। मैंने काफी कोशिश की, बिल्कुल एकदम मायूस हो गया, दुख के साथ कह रहा हूँ कि कोई अंग से दायगनी की बात है, क्योंकि अगर मैं ये कहूँगा नहीं, सामने नहीं कहूँगा, फिर वही घबराएंगे। अब इससे भी कोई असर नहीं होगा, जानता हूँ, क्योंकि I had also very good connection with some of the highest people in RSS. उनसे भी बात किया, उन्होंने कहा लिख के देने के लिए, मैंने लिख के भी दिया, तो फिर थोड़ा सा एक छोटी सी चीज में एक्शन हुआ, लेकिन इसमें कोई एक्शन नहीं हुआ। तो मैंने अभी अपने लल्ला टॉक में मैंने एक इंटरव्यू दिया, उसमें भी मैंने यही कहा, क्योंकि 9 साल में एक भी मंदिर वहाँ नहीं होगा। देन वन डे आई गॉट इट, क्योंकि ठीक है बीजेपी वाले जो है ईश्वर जो शिवा है, he illumined my mind, a Muslim mind, but it could not illumine the mind of BJP and others. Then one day I got a phone call from a very respectful, from a very powerful lady. He was in the he had a group and he knew that his death was coming, and he was shocked. एक महीने के अंदर जो ना he was shocked. ये छोटा सा स्कूल टीचर को पकड़ेंगे 15 से 20 लाख रुपया लेता था। रैंडम माइनिंग स्टार्टेड। एक बार वो खत्म हो गया। पहले ये डर था कि जो ना ये इधर है, इसलिए जो ना ये माइनिंग माफिया यहाँ आने से डरते थे, लेकिन अब वो पूरी की पूरा खत्म हो गया। माइनिंग माफिया के स्टार्टेड रैंडम माइनिंग, नए जर्नल स्टार्टेड कमिंग। मैंने कई लोगों को लिखा, एसपी को लिखा, इसको लिखा, फॉरेस्ट ऑफिसर को लिखा, बट दे वर ऑल रिसीविंग मनी, तो वो क्या कहा, क्यों रोकेंगे? Then ultimately I did something which a government servant should not have done. I wrote a strong letter to Sudarshan ji, who was the RSS chief at that time. मैंने कहा कि आप दोनों मंदिरों की बात बहुत करते हैं, यहाँ आप मध्य प्रदेश में बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट है, एंड यहाँ जो मैंने इतने मंदिर बनाया, by that time I had made 40-45 मंदिर बना दिया था, and my temples are now coming down. And the greatness of the man is that he took immediate action. He pulled up the chief minister, and the chief minister immediately he was, forced to act also. Because उसमें तो सारे political parties के लोग, he was forced to act also. He sent the police force, and there was an exchange of fire. क्योंकि वो ग्रुप भी इतना पूरा well prepared था, exchange of fire. तो अमिता सोनी हमारा मिनिस्टर थे उस जमाने में. It was in 2007 she was there. She wrote a letter to इनको लिखा है शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी जो एमपी चीफ मिनिस्टर थे that law and order is under you, you have to give full protection to ASI. उन्होंने जवाब दिया ये पहले चल रहा था लेकिन वी आर गिवन फुल प्रोटेक्शन टू ASI, लेकिन आखिरी जो सेंटेंस है ये मेरा खिलाफ था. It was for taking action against me for writing a letter to Sudarshan. So after when the chief minister is writing a letter to the central minister to take action against the government servant, to have to hear and have to protocol the action enact करेगा. So just look at me. My grievance against it was not against him. My grievance was against Lord Shiva. Because I had gone into an area which was a forbidden land and reconstructed almost 45-50 temples by that time for Lord Shiva. And now this is the result which I am getting. This is the reward which I am getting. So that was my shikwa or shikayat jana Lord Shiva said. But Shiva had his own way. He had deployed his own at the Paraso, by that time he had deployed. So मेरा पूरा protection जो ना का इंतजाम हम लोगों ने तब तक कर लिया था. And next week. And that was this one through newspaper channel वो जितने भी थे वो लोग सब जन पूरे मेरे support में आ गए. And some of the Delhi people, they had come and seen the whole thing. So वो लोग इनके अंबिका सोनी के पास चले गया तो उन्होंने कहा कि इतना बड़ा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन किया है and are you going to suspend that officer? Then she said, no, I am not going to suspend, but I had to issue him a show cause notice. I gave a reply. मैंने कहा था खत तो मंदिर को बचाने के लिए किया था. I knew that it was wrong from the part of a government officer. लेकिन अपने मंदिर को बचाने के लिए किया. Whatever action you want to take, you can take. तो ये जवाब दे दिया तो मैडम ने कहा अंबिका सोनी no, I am not going to take any action against you. Next week. तो सारे जितने भी अखबार हमारे साथ थे. Next week. They would say CM tell Sony, Mohammed may say his speech. Next week. Up to now it has become a very beautiful place. Many people are coming to study. Many people are coming to look. I mean, this one visit the next. ये सब जन दिल्ली के स्टूडेंट्स थे. मलकान सिंह करके जना बहुत बड़ा जो लेटरपैड यूज करता था इसमें किडनैपिंग करने के लिए वो रिकॉर्ड है वो साइट पे आ गया बिकॉज इट वाज सीन ऑफ हिज एक्टिविटी कई काम किया था. ये महिला हॉकी टीम है. ये है ओलंपिक. दे हैड वन 2012 का टीम जीत थी लोगों ने. और ये मलबे में मंदिरों का खजाना दैनिक भास्कर सबसे ज्यादा बिक्री इसका होता है. तो उन लोगों ने भी वो फुल सपोर्ट किए इन लोगों ने. नेक्स्ट ऐसे to RSS gets illegal mining trial at collector and SP. अक्सर कलेक्टर और एसपी के ऊपर जो ना कोई गोली से नहीं चलाते. चीफ सेक्रेटरी के ऊपर चला सकते हैं लेकिन जो ना कलेक्टर और एसपी के ऊपर नहीं चला सकते. इतना पावरफुल ये लोग थे एंड फ्रॉम ऑल द पार्टी. तो उनके लिए तो खैर तो मुझे एक छोटा सा आदमी का कुछ भी नहीं था लेकिन उनके कुछ जो ना ये सपोर्ट ये ताकि कुछ रिकॉर्ड्स थे क्योंकि वो रिकॉर्ड जब भी जो वो रिप्राइसल लेते हैं तो जो ना ये नहीं कि जो ना जिन्होंने मुझे मारा उनको मार दिया वो पूरे खानदान को खत्म कर देते. इसीलिए मैं बच गया लेकिन मैं उतना जो ना फॉर्चुनेट नहीं था. सारे पुलिस ऑफिसर्स एंड वेरी यंग पुलिस ऑफिसर he was crushed to death by his people. वो इलीगली माइन जो ना गाड़ी के नीचे गिरा के जो उनको जो क्रश करके मार दिया. इतनी पावरफुल ग्रुप है. नेक्स्ट सुदर्शन जी की पद पर शासन जाएगा कराने बंद. नेक्स्ट फॉर्मर व्यक्तियों का सीएम ने उठाया ऐसे अधीक्षक पर सवाल. मेरे द वे ऑफ माय दिस वन डीलिंग द केस. नेक्स्ट इनको ये है आईपीएस की बहुत यंग आईपीएस. ही वाज ओनली 31 years of age. इनकी वाइफ जो ना वो आईएएस ऑफिसर. अच्छा गोली पता है तो वहाँ ऑर्डनरी बात है. बेगम बंदूक वेयरहाउस माफिया सिर्फ एक ही साल में हो चुके 50 से ज्यादा हमला. ऐसी जगह है, आप जना को मार के जना फिर इसमें गिरा देंगे, कोई किसी को पता भी नहीं होगा। तो ये सार्क इंटरनेशनल अवार्ड मिला। Swami, next please. Later on, the chief minister realized his mistake. उन्होंने मुझे एक अवार्ड दिया। By that time I was transferred to Delhi. I had to president, तो मैं जा नहीं पाया। And he was very happy. Like बाद में जब मुझे उन्होंने advisor भी बनाया, after my retirement. Next please. ये मोहन सिंह के 2 साल पहले डेथ हुआ, तो उनके पहले उन्होंने लेटर लिखा है, लेटर प्राइम मिनिस्टर को, कॉपी मुझे भी भेजा। नेक्स्ट, ये वही लेटर है, कॉपी मेरे पास भी भेजा। दिस इज द लेडी जो लॉर्ड शिवानंद ही एक्ट्स टू सम अदर पर्सन। सो यू ऑल नो मिसेस सुधा नारायण मूर्ति। एक दिन मुझे फोन किया, मोहम्मद reading a lot about you and your work, और मैं आपके साथ घूमना चाहता हूँ, देखना चाहता हूँ। तो 2019 में फरवरी के मंथ में मैंने उनको ले गया for 4 days. She roamed around the whole area. उनके साथ उनके फैमिली मेंबर्स भी थे। ये दोनों सिस्टर्स हैं, सिस्टर्स के जो हस्बैंड है ये देश पांडे साहब है, जो अमेरिका का ये इसमें पूरा ये चलाते थे। this one free food जनक चलाते थे, तो that is लोगों ने पूरा देखा, they were so much impressed. गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ नहीं किया, so called बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट, so called आरएसएस गवर्नमेंट, लेकिन आपने डोनेशन के बाद भी जो ना काम करने में देर करने पे then I had to expect some more pressure. उसके बाद काम शुरू हुआ है। अभी तो हर काम जो हम लोगों ने almost 75% जो ना काम किया है, and within 2 months you will be able to complete the work. और वो भी जो एस्टिमेट बनाया है उसके 60% से काम करवा देंगे। फिर मैंने मैडम से कहा बाकी जो पैसा बचेगा उनको पता नहीं था, लेकिन उन लोगों ने कह दिया कि हम 65% से ये पूरा काम करा देंगे, बाकी जो पेमेंट जो पैसा जो बचेगा अगर आप कहेंगे उससे जरूर और काम करा देते। नाउ दे हैव एग्रीड टू दैट वन। नेक्स्ट प्लीज, नेक्स्ट प्लीज। ये मैं स्लम स्कूल जब भी जहाँ पर भी मैं काम करता हूँ तो वहाँ स्लम स्कूल भी चलाता हूँ, क्योंकि ये गरीबों को जो ना कोई स्कूल जाने का मौका नहीं मिल पाता है। मोस्टली दे कम फ्रॉम बिहार से आते हैं, बंगाल से आते हैं, तो उनके लिए जो ना स्कूल भी चलाता था। नेक्स्ट, माय वाइफ यूज्ड टू डू इट। उनको थोड़ा सा ये यूनिफॉर्म दे दीजिए, खाना दे दीजिए, दे विल स्टार्ट रीडिंग राइटिंग। थोड़ा सा खेलने के लिए जरा चीजें दे दीजिए। कंबल दे दीजिए, कंबल आई यूज्ड टू गेट इट फॉर 100 रुपीज को मिलता था, 200 रुपीज का 100 रुपीज का मिल जाता था। उनके पेरेंट्स ने कहा कि बच्चे तो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अब हम लोग भी सीखना चाहते हैं, तो उनके लिए मैंने नए स्कूल शुरू कर दिया। तो उन्होंने कहा खाना बनाना, मैंने कहा खाना हम लोग दे दीजिए, खाना भी देना शुरू कर दिया। तो कुछ गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल ने ऑब्जेक्शन उठाया, who told you to send, I mean, this one, when the schools there in the morning, so मैं कहा I'm not using government money, गवर्नमेंट मनी यूज नहीं कर रहा हूँ, अपना सैलरी से पैसा निकाल रहा हूँ। तो फिर उनका मुंह ओवर हो गया। नेक्स्ट, ये जैन साहब है, ये हमें 700 रुपये में पूरे कंबल देते हैं, अच्छे कंबल जो ना लुधियाना वाला कंबल। नेक्स्ट, इसमें मुझे सीनियर सिटीजन जर्नलिस्ट अवार्ड मिला था। वो अवार्ड जो दिया था वो बहुत लंबे आदमी थे, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वो ये थे। तो इन्होंने किया फेमस, तो इनसे भी थोड़ा सा बड़ा आदमी ये देखना चाहता था कि ये कौन सी स्कूल है, बिकॉज इसको समझता है ये फेमस, तो ये कौन सी स्कूल है। नेक्स्ट, so that was this man. So when he saw the school going on very well, so he was impressed and he was उन्होंने उनको जो है रिसीव जो किया था, there was a boy known as Vishal. Just look at the way he is sitting. वो क्यों किया है? Because he had such a वो भूला नहीं. Next please. And he had got special gifts also from America. Please. Next please. ये उसमें से एक लड़का था इसके पहले वाला. So this was the boy who had received him. Welcome Mrs. and Mrs. Soba. So that boy impressed him. So that was in 2000. By that time 2012 में मैं रिटायर हो गया था. 2015 में he again came. तो मुझे अमेरिकन एम्बेसी ने फोन किया. उन्होंने कहा कि अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट इज लुकिंग फॉर विशाल. विशाल was the name of the phone. तो फिर by that time we had just given a push to him. So by that time he had become a student in St. Columbus में आ गया था. तो फिर then we I mean he was there and the was there. He met him. He is now in St. Columbus. The boy. फिर मैं जब दिल्ली गया था, I mean he came to meet me. फिर मैंने had a lecture also. तो मैंने उसको introduce किया. He just gave some more financial help to all those people. Next please. वो क्यों अपने रास्ता भूला? Because he had such a past. So our ministers also, because many of them are also from very poor background, they should also do the same kind of help and support for the Lord. Survey Bhavantu Sukhina, survey Santu. तो ये मैं दूसरी एक उदाहरण देने जा रहा हूँ. दिल्ली में अगर आप जाएंगे तो फिर तो कोई भी यूरोप अमेरिका किसी से भी तो जितने भी मॉन्यूमेंट थे वो सब इस्लामिक मॉन्यूमेंट है. मतलब मीनार लाल किला है, हुमायूं स्टोन सब है. तो ही वो होता है रॉन्ग इम्प्रेशन. अब फिर चले जाइए आप जब आगरा, वहाँ पर वही ताजमहल है, आगरा पहुंचे तो बिल्कुल ये सब इस्लामिक मॉन्यूमेंट. आप राजस्थान चले जाइए कहेंगे राजपूत मॉन्यूमेंट बन जाएगा और इस्लामिक मॉन्यूमेंट. तो मैंने सोचा कि जब वहाँ एक रेप्लिका म्यूजियम बनाएंगे, द फर्स्ट मास्टरपीसेस ऑफ इंडियन आर्ट, उसको जब वहाँ एक म्यूजियम बनाएंगे ये सोचा. तो जगह नहीं था, लेकिन जनरल से लेडी मिसेस कौर उन्होंने जगह दिलवा दिया, बहुत फाइट करके जगह दिलवा दिया. एंड देन वी स्टार्टेड ए मास्टरपीसेस ऑफ इंडियन आर्ट. वहाँ से मैंने रेप्लिका म्यूजियम शुरू किया है. तो कुछ लोगों ने कहा दिस इज ए बीजेपी आइडिया, दैट वाज ए कांग्रेस पीरियड था. तो कुछ लोगों ने कहा कि दिस इज ए बीजेपी आइडिया. तो मैंने कहा मुझे बीजेपी से या कांग्रेस से कोई मतलब नहीं है, दिस इज एन इंडियन आइडिया. तो वो खामोश हो गया. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. दिस इज ए जीसस ऑन क्रॉस. दिस इज वेल नोन, दिस वन फ्रॉम गोवा. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. ये है कृष्णा लिफ्टिंग गोवर्धन जो महाबलीपुरम जो भी जाते हैं. अब महाबलीपुरम जाने की जरूरत नहीं, बिल्कुल ऑलमोस्ट द सेम का जो हमने यही बना दिया, दिल्ली में ही बना दिया. ये वराह इंकारनेशन, दिस इज फ्रॉम मध्य प्रदेश. बहुत ही अच्छा है. तो वो उसका जो लोगों ने यही बना दिया वराह इंकारनेशन. And this is a fasting Buddha. This is a Lahore museum. उसका तो आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं. And this is preaching Buddha, one of the most beautiful Buddha. इसको देखने के लिए पूरे 13-14 countries से लोग सारनाथ आते हैं. This is preaching Buddha, one of the most beautiful pieces. And this is Ravana taking Kailash. Ravana was traveling in his पुष्पक विमान, so he saw a beautiful thing. इतनी ताकत लगा रही है. जो शेखी कैलाश, तो पार्वती डर गई या गोविंद पता नहीं था. तो शिवा so he just pressed this one. तब से develop किया. So he was trapped. Ravana was trapped, and then for 1000 years he had to recite Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So this is where Kailash Nath temple in Ellora. तो उसका ये बना दिया हम लोगों ने. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. तो इसी सब आनंद जी का घर जो है 11 करके है मध्य प्रदेश में, वहाँ पर मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल लेडीज, इनकी मुस्कुराहट के मैं बारे में अक्सर कहता हूँ ये कातिलाना मुस्कुराहट. तो बिल्कुल look at her dress as if she is going to participate in a modern fashion show in Paris. इतनी खूबसूरत ड्रेस है. ये कब हम लोग सोच नहीं सकते. ये सब चीजें जो ना इंडिया का क्या क्या है ये सब जो लोगों के सामने रखिएगा. इसके लिए कोई बजट नहीं था. गवर्नमेंट जो अक्सर जो कोई बड़े बड़े बजट बनाने के कोई बजट नहीं था, कोई पैसा नहीं था. लेकिन मैंने कुछ ये कुछ अलॉटमेंट ऐसे हैं जिसमें आई हैड द फ्रीडम, तो उसमें से मैंने बना दिया था। दिस इज त्रिविक्रमा का जो पैनल है, ये मशहूर है बहुत ज़्यादा महाबलीपुरम में। नेक्स्ट महिषासुर नंदना कविदात्री वरदे नमः रूपम देवी जयम देवी। देखिए ये महिषासुर की वास्तु है, एंड लुक एट द लेडी। इस तरीके के जितने भी बहुत अच्छे अच्छे जो ना मूर्तियां हैं ये बनाया। नेक्स्ट अगेन अनदर गेची इज दिस वन फ्रॉम मॉडर्न पीरियड का है, वेरी ब्यूटीफुल पीस। ये एक अमुक शिवलिंगा है यहाँ, दिस इज फ्रॉम आंध्र प्रदेश के हैं, जो बहुत ही शिवा ये सब जंपिंग आउट ऑफ लिंगा। ये सब जो ना आपको जो ना एक ऑर्डिनरी स्टूडेंट को, जो हिस्ट्री के स्टूडेंट है उनको पढ़ने के लिए बहुत अच्छा मौका मिल गया। लोग बहुत ज्यादा जाते थे ये देखने के लिए, स्पेशली स्टूडेंट्स बहुत जाते थे। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। योग पढ़ता नरसिम्हा आपको तो आप भी क्या है, ये स्टैच्यू गोपेश्वर अगेन कर्नाटका। ये एक बहुत रुद्र शिवा, आपने बहुत ज्यादा शिवा को देखा होगा लेकिन ऐसी शिवा देखा नहीं होगा, क्योंकि जस्ट लुक एट उसको जो टर्बन है इट इज मेड आउट ऑफ वासुकी। वासुकी जो किससे बनाया हुआ है, एंड देन ये जो ईयर है इट इज मेड आउट ऑफ मोर, पीकॉक से बनाया हुआ है। एंड दे आर ट्रेडिशनल एनिमीज पीकॉक्स एंड दिस वन, बट व्हेन दे कम टू शिवा दे आर एट पीस, दे डोंट फाइट ईच अदर। एंड लुक एट दिस, नो एक डिजाइनिंग चित्रकारी है, डिजाइनिंग चित्रकारी है। एंड जो आइस है दैट इज फ्रॉग साइज, frog cells. And then this one, I mean, his hands are coming out of the crocodile mouth. No hands, crocodile mouth. And his private part, this is a moving tortoise. Moving tortoise. ये इतना बढ़िया जो ना आपने कहीं देखा नहीं होगा। तो ये जो ना, I mean, elephant part, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 यहाँ है, यहाँ है। मैं तो सिर्फ जो ना न मैं रुद्र शिवा हूँ, न मैं पशुपति शिवा हूँ, मैं पूरा कायनात हूँ, मैं पूरा दुनिया हूँ। तो लॉर्ड शिवा दिखता है। तो मैं ये देखा था छत्तीसगढ़ में, तो फिर मैंने इसको जो ना रेप्लिका बनाया। इसी तरीके से फिर मेरा इरादा ये था, इसी तरीके से पूरा एशिया का जो जितने भी मॉन्यूमेंट है, इंडिया का भी जितने भी मॉन्यूमेंट है, उसको सबको रेप्लिका बनाना है, यही हमारा इरादा था। तो उसमें हमारा राव साहब है, इन्होंने काफी मदद करने के लिए वादा किया। हमारा जो मूर्ति साहब है, इन्होंने भी कहा कि हम लोगों ने कई मीटिंग भी किया, लेकिन जो सो कॉल्ड गौरवशाली इतिहास की बात को करने वाले बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट और आरएसएस के लोग भी हैं, उसमें इन्होंने सपोर्ट नहीं किया। ये म्यूजियम अब बंद है। अब मैं क्या कहूँ, अब मैं क्या, ये म्यूजियम बंद है। कहते हैं कि जो हम जो दोबारा कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, लेकिन यही आइडिया लेके अभी दिल्ली में जो दिल्ली म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में इन लोग जो बहुत आगे बढ़ गए। उनके पास पैसा नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी उन्होंने बना दिया। राव साहब जो नबी जाके देखा भी था। एंड ये सब चीजें जो राव साहब का एक और आइडिया था अमेरिका में बनाने के लिए, यहाँ पर भी बनाने के लिए बहुत मोटे साहब भी हम लोग सब कर रहे थे, लेकिन अपनी गवर्नमेंट को, अपनी पार्टियों को हम लोग अभी तक जगह नहीं पाए। तो दिस इज द ड्यूटी ऑफ चौधरी साहब का ड्यूटी है, बाकी जितने भी लोग हैं आप लोगों का ड्यूटी है इस गवर्नमेंट को जगाना। वही मैं अक्सर कहता हूँ, एक मुसलमान को जो ना दिल में ईमान डाल दिया लॉर्ड शिवा ने, लेकिन ये बीजेपी और आरएसएस के दिल में वो ईमान नहीं कर पाए। ईमान तो आप कुछ भी कहिएगा। इसी तरीके से बहुत सारे हैं। तो अगर आप चाहे आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे में बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं, और दैट यू इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकते हैं तो कीजिए, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने देखा अभी तक जितने भी मिनिस्टर्स आए तो कैसे है आके चले गए और कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं हुआ। एंड डायरेक्टली हम लोगों का काम है कहना, बताना, क्योंकि मैं नाइवा से दिल्ली, क्योंकि मैंने ये कॉमनवेल्थ के पीरियड में काम है, तो मैं दिल्ली में जो आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे इंडिया का प्रॉपर्टी के अलावा मैंने जो ना 40 एकड़ जमीन, एक एकड़ जो है बिल्कुल एकदम चांदनी चौक में था, जो एएसआई का नहीं था, वो सब एएसआई में इनकॉर्पोरेट किया। 40 एकड़, एक एकड़ का दिल्ली का क्या कीमत होगा आप सोच सकते हैं। तो इफ यू वांट यू कैन डू ए लॉट ऑफ। तो हमारा ईश्वर से भी प्रार्थना है, शिवा से भी प्रार्थना है, विष्णु से भी प्रार्थना है, इन लोगों के दिमाग में थोड़ा सा ईमान डालें। एंड थैंक यू ऑल, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर
May I request Chaudhary Garu and Shinde come back again onto the dais. One book in Telugu also. Actually, it's Pragna Bharati. Say a few dates. That is one. The first one is 25th of April, which is day after tomorrow. The venue is Tyagraya Gan Sabha, Chikkarpalli. The program is Pragna Bharati and MVR Foundation. Together, they are conducting this one. This is to confer this award, Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya Sahitya Puraskar. That is Puraskar Swikarta, that is the recipient is the poet Dr. Kasireddy Venkatreddy Garu, Sabhajakshudu, that is presided by our Hanuman Chaudhary Garu. So please attend without fail. And the other program is on the 27th of April, that is at the Patel Hall, Keshav Memorial College, Narayanpura. That is going to be conducted by ABVP, Akhil Bharatiya Vidya Parishad. And that is a book launch. The book entitled Om Tapasvi. That is in the memory of Sri Harihara Sharma ji. He was one of the founding members of Pragna Bharati also, I mentioned earlier. And that will be also an interesting program. I request you all to attend. There is going to be Sri Dattatreya Hospalaji, Sarkaryawaha, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. You are all invited, so please attend without fail. 2 days, that is 25th and another one is on 27th. Now, we have some mementos for Mohammed Ji and Shinde Ji.
Sir, excuse me, sir. With the permission of Dr. Hanuman Chaudhary Garu, sir, I am authorized not here. Kanyakumari, Muhammad means Mahamudakara. Mahamudakara.
I request Sri Hanuman Chaudhary Garu to give away the memento to Mohammed Ji. Request Chaudhary Garu to please give to Shinde Ji. Now we have the Mallam Virendra Ji. He is the secretary of this organization, Itihas Sankalan Samiti, and he is also the consultant at Salarjung Museum. I request him to present this book to Chaudhary Garu. Virendraji. Now, I request Virendraji also to propose vote of thanks for this evening's program.
Thank you. Respected representatives from the dais, Brother Garu, Sindhu Garu, and my friend Mohammed. Being an archaeologist, I am very much impressed by this, both the presentations. One is the past and one is the current one. As an archaeologist, I feel that both are interesting and very much what can it, because the Muhammad's presentation I have seen, I think 6 or 7 years back when I arranged this program in Bharat Museum by the Historical Society of Hyderabad. There was half of the program. Now today is a completely different from what I have seen today. I think so we have to appreciate and feel something also for his efforts, because whatever he wanted to do, that we the people of the country, not accepting his views. That's what I feel now after listening to him. So anyway, congratulations, Dr. Mohammed ji. And I feel very happy to propose vote of thanks on this occasion. Professor Shinde ji is from Pune, came on some project and working at the CCMB, and he also visited Salarjung Museum for a couple of times, and I met him. Sir, thank you very much, sir, and for your good presentation. And the same thing, whatever the present Aryan civilization, Aryan invasion, that's so one of the answers he has given for this, those who are proposing that Aryans are outside and they came from the outside and settled in India. That's the first answer he has given, and we should promote that answer. Thank you so much, sir, for giving this. And Mohammed ji, आप तो होते हैं, मोहम्मद आप तो अभी ऑपरेशन में सब बोले नाम बदलने नहीं चाहिए। I think आपका इमाम साहब अगर चाहे तो आप नाम बदल देंगे, आप दूसरा नाम दे देंगे आपको। Because we don't know what are the mantras you are telling every time for the Vriksha, the Shiva, the Parvati, or the Ganesha, something. Even the most of the 80% of the people, those who say Hindus, we don't know all these mantras also. We have to accept them. So anyway, thank you so much, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. So thank you so much and giving this presentation. And we also thank Mr. Abhijit also for organizing this tour program, everything. And we thank this college, Bharat College, for giving this beautiful auditorium for this picture, for this thing we are spending here. Thank you so much, the audience also and the press also.
एक बात कहनी थी
Sir?
एक बात कहनी है आई वॉन्ट टू से वन थिंग आपको आवाज़ सुनाई आ रही है मेरी मैं सबको नमस्कार करता हूँ मोहम्मद साहब के लिए आज मैंने जाना कि शिव जी के जो गण होते हैं विशेष रूप से वीरभद्र जी हैं काल भैरव काशी के हैं उनको साक्षात देखा ऐसा लगा मेरे को और शिंदे साहब जो है एक रत्न है जीनियस है शिंदे साहब जो है बस बहुत बहुत आप सबका आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ मैं धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूँ मुझे अवसर मिला है आने का धन्यवाद
Thank you so much.
जय भारत वंदे मातरम
These are the part of our vote of thanks.
ओके ठीक ओ थैंक यू बिल्कुल
Thank you everybody.
Okay, one question of yours.
My name is Uday Bagre, and we are one of the oldest families in the Khalid community. We go back about 350 years, and we have temples which go back 350 years. So one of the temples is what we are restoring. This is one of the landmark temples in South Coast. It's in Kishangarh, Bahadurpura, officially 200 years old, spread over 4 acres. It's a landmark in Kishangarh. So, and we've started restoring it, and I would like your esteemed presence to be there tomorrow if you are available in Hyderabad. It will be a privilege to have you and work under your guidance. Anandrao Garu knows. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Like I said before, I do apologize for skipping the question answer session due to the time constraint. But still, anybody wants to ask? Oh, okay, fine. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for the enchanting information what you have given, Mohammed sir. एक प्रश्न आपसे, आपने इतने सारे टेम्पल को रिनोवेट किया, कहीं तक कुछ खजाना नहीं मिला? तो कहा जाता है कि टेम्पल से खजाना होता है, कहा जाता है, मुझे तो पता नहीं।
Today it has been a really an epiphanic experience for us here. But I would like to share my disappointment also. Hyderabad is a historical city, and there are any number of colleges and universities here where there are number of history students. Had all of them been invited here, this auditorium wouldn't have been enough at all. So at least next time we have to compensate for this by arranging a larger meeting with all the history students coming here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you still have any more questions, you can email at info.pragnabharati.in. You'll definitely get the response. And also, you'll find today's program, which was live on the social media. There also, you can post your comments and questions also. I do once again apologize for skipping the session. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The national anthem begins.
दूसरा बार है ना पुनश्चरण होगा रमणा
వేస్తున్నా ఫ్రేమ్లకి
नहीं हटा आओ बराबर आओ सामने
రెండు కార్లు నచ్చిన రోజు కూడా ఇంటికి
जरा ले बेटा नहीं दे रहा सर सर सामने देखिए सर 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 लड़की की हाँ
सर ఇక్కడ एक्सक्यूज मी सर 1 सेकंड
अरे हाँ नहीं दोनों सामने आओ प्रदीप जरा सामने आओ जरा पेज सामने आने दो जरा सामने देख सर को बीच में ले
सर ఇక్కడ ఒక్కసారి
आओ सुरेंद्र सर सामने देखिए वेरी गुड और एक बार आओ पूरे आपके फेस पे जल्दी
राजन भाई एक मिनट
हाँ देखो इधर देखो
सर ఇక్కడ
सामने देखो ये आ गया बहुत अच्छा
नहीं सर तो वो इसके पहले जो लिया पूरा अंधेरा आया फेस पे नहीं बेटा मेरे पास है आपका 1 मिनट दिखा थैंक यू
ఓకే సార్ కలుస్తాను సార్ థ్యాంక్స్
ఓన్లీ లైట్ల బ్యాగ్ ఆర్డర్ ప్యాక్ చేసేసుకున్నాం ఫోటో అంటే ఇవ్వద్దా అన్న పాపం